Hey guys, what is going on? Thanks for watching. I appreciate having you here. Do me a favor and hit subscribe if you would. It would help out the channel, which helps me out and then helps me bring you better content. So, just something to keep an eye on. What are we looking at today? This particularly monstrous beast is the Sniper Bladeworks DMF Reloaded. This is a small batch knife. Some of these are still available on Blade HQ, and I'd like to get the elephant out of the room first. This knife is $450. That is a lot of money. I didn't pay that much for it. I traded for it. But if you're after one and you want a new one, that's how much they cost. So just know that going forward. And watch the viewership of this video just tank right now. But seriously, you guys know that I like big, weird knives. I've shared a bunch of them on the channel. Things that verge on silly, and they make me happy because of it. This is exactly one of those, but it also happens to be an excellent cutter. It is just really interesting. So let's go ahead and pop it open and take a look at it. There you go. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it's awesome. Some reviewers out there haven't loved it for a couple of reasons, and we'll get to their reasons in a minute because there's some stuff on the backside of this knife that is a little strange. What do you need to know? Well, it is G10 and actual bronze. The inlays are bronze. The pivot ring is bronze. The steel is, and I quote, stainless Damascus. That's, you know, everything I know. It is there's a little over 5 millimeters of stainless Damascus. This is a big, thick blade. And as you can see, where's a good light? There we go. You can see the Damascus layers on the blade itself. You can feel them too. It's really cool. You can see them at the very front too. Look how robust the tip of this knife is. It has a divot here, which is, I think, designed to roll the knife out, you know, like that, which does work. But really, the deployment method here that works the best are the stop pins, which function also as thumb studs. And it just snaps right out. There's more of the lines on that blade. That is so pretty. We're going to stay on this side of the knife for a few minutes because when we get to the other side, I do have some, you know, we'll stay here for a minute. Their thing is pistol grip. They're very proud of that, and I understand why. I very much like that. We'll get back to that in a second. On this side of the blade, you get their logo, which says Sniper Bladeworks, the signature of the maker. You get, again, the bronze pivot ring and the inlays on this black G10. Black screws, black pivot, and a bronze, or maybe copper, but I think it's a bronze also, lanyard tube, which I wouldn't put a lanyard on a knife this big, but you might if you're interested in such a thing. I love this shape. Before we get to the back, let's do this shape. I'm a fan of knives with sort of stubby blades and a lot of handle. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm a huge fan of the Microtech Stitch, which is completely different, but has a similar design area. Like it came from the same kind of design mentality. It's got a really aggressive and thick blade with a great cutting edge, right? Aggressive shape of the blade. It's got this huge forward choil space for your finger, right? So your hand is just really naturally drawn to this spot. It's got a great landing spot for your thumb. But there's plenty of handle back here if you wanted to swing it, I guess, or I don't know, hold on to it in different ways. Another knife that's a lot like that is the Strider, and this is the SMF, of course. My SNG is somewhere else at the moment. Not nearly as aggressively curved, but short blade, large forward choil, lots of handle, lots of space for grip, right? Similar mentality. And then you get to the DMF, which is much like that, but with this really aggressive pistol grip curve. I love it. I do. I don't know that I expect you guys to, but I do. And everyone that I've shown it to has said the same thing. That's ridiculous. And then they hold it and they say, oh, but it's really good. So they're onto something. They absolutely are. I'm going to flip it over now and show you what kind of the complaint is. So this is at $450, which is really expensive. It's not an art knife, but it's pushing itself up into, really sort of high-end competition. And so while this side is intricate and beautiful and interesting, this side is a lot less so. Yeah, there's no divot in the blade. It's very plain, although it does say, 10 of 250 right there, which is nice. This is just a flat slab of titanium, and I mean it's flat. It's not really milled around the edges. It's not beveled. It's a flat stonewash bit of titanium with a titanium clip. It looks like a completely different knife. It really does. I mean, again, pretty and interesting. This side. And yet I don't care. The fact that it's so uneven in its design actually appeals to me. Dirk Warning, good friend of mine, has a great channel, really didn't like that part of it. I watched his review kind of after I got this, and I understand that perspective, but I'm just not the same. The fact that this knife is so sort of almost unbalanced goes with its sort of monster beast mode mentality to me. It's not uncomfortable. It isn't. It just feels almost like you should hold it in your left hand, but you're not. It's a right hand knife because of where the clip placement is, and there is no left hand carry option. I dig this thing because it is so funky and so weird. It really is, for me, one of the driving factors in picking up a knife that's this expensive or this big. Oh wow, it's really big. There are some things here that they've done that are exceptionally well. The action is fantastic. We'll show that off in a minute. There is a steel lock bar insert, which puts it ahead of some very expensive knives. Strider, please figure that part out. The clip is very boring, but works really well. It actually rides the pocket, and watch this. You get it past that detent, and of course the blade weighs 5 pounds, so you expect it to slap shut, and it does. You do not want to get your fingers in the way. But given that this thing is a 10 ounce, and I'll weigh it out for you a little later, a 10 ounce beast with a 5mm thick blade, it actually pockets really well. And part of that is because of where the clip placement is. It hangs very neutrally. Like it just, like you got soft jeans or pants on, it's going to pull them down. You're going to see it in the pocket. Don't get me wrong. But it's not unbalanced. Like they really put the clip in the right spot. So it just hangs really well. There is no flipper, so it doesn't bang into stuff in your pocket, although it will fill the pocket entirely. The closed profile on this thing alone is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.25 inches. And in the pocket, it is 2.25 inches thick. You might get a pen next to it, if you've got big pockets, but nothing else. And that's okay. It is what it is, and it is really good at what it is. I'm going to do some other size comparisons because a lot of you have not had Striders or the Microtech Stitch. Here it is against a full-size Presidio 2 from Benchmade. We'll line up the tip of the blade. It's really hard to do because of the shape. But as you can see, the Presidio is the same length. It's even a little bit longer, but it is literally smaller in every other possible dimension, right? Here's our old friend the Bug Out, which has seen a lot of time on my table, and as you can see, this is just a monster. What else? Here it is against the Terrain 365 STSAT. Again, this is a full-size knife. The DMF here just dwarfs it. That's okay. You don't buy a knife like this because it's an easy EDC. You don't buy a knife like this because it's a convenient EDC. But you can buy a knife like this because it is a functional knife and a good EDC. This thing, man, it cuts like crazy. Now, because the pistol grip is so steep, you can't get the blade fully flat on the table, but because of the beautiful belly at the front, it's a great design, you can get tons of the blade down. which means if you needed this to do something as simple as cut up food, it would do a great job at it. And because it is a stainless Damascus, you don't have to worry about it taking color. I don't know. I just think it's cool. Pistol grip back here makes you want to swing it like a hatchet, right? Come forward on it. You could do fine work. How much fine work you do, I don't know, with a knife this size, but you could whittle with it. You could absolutely feather stick with this thing. I haven't done it yet, but I will, and I keep banging the table because there is so much handle hanging out the back. Stuff like this is why I continue to collect knives. Like this, and like the Terrain 365 stuff, and, you know, like the Stitch. If every knife on the planet was the mini... here was this, right? Just a Benchmade, a well-done Benchmade, or this one. You'd have a couple of knives maybe, and that'd be the end of it. But it doesn't have to be that way. There is weird, cool stuff like this out there, and if you're into it, and if you're escalated, as I am, to a place in your collection where stuff like this seems somehow reasonable, I don't know how that happened, but here we are, you get to bring stuff like this home. As weird as it is very comfortable, it is very useful, and it's just really satisfying. I told you I would take the calipers to it, so let's do that. As I said, the blade stock at its thickest back here is 5.44 millimeters, right? Or almost a quarter inch. 0.2, right? Almost a quarter inch. The handle itself is just over half an inch, almost 0.7 of an inch. And yet, it's relatively well balanced. It doesn't feel super heavy in the hands. I know it's 9.8 ounces because I've measured it a couple of times just because I was curious. And yet, again, it just sits really well in the hand. It's very well done. The action is superb. If you guys are looking for a ridiculous reason to spend too much money, and you want to get something really cool out of the deal, and you can't find a Stitch for $350 or whatever they cost, and you can't find a Strider for, you know, God, used, these things are $800 to $1,000. I mean, it's ridiculous how much these cost. And you can't find a good used Formax for, you know, $300 or $350. You might want to look at one of these. It's kind of next level weird, but it just really works. And that's where we're going to leave it. This is the Sniper Bladeworks DMF. Again, you can grab these right now on Blade HQ if you're of a mind. And they have an S30V blade version that costs a little bit less, I think. But if you're going to get one, get the weirdest one you can, right? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate you with these little flights of fancy. I know this is just a collection piece for me, but I really enjoyed sharing it with you. I hope you guys are having a great day, and we'll see you next time.